Disclaimer: the following video contains an organized and objectified remix music tier list from the Super Smash Bros. Series. It contains provoking thoughts and concerns from each remix in the games, all coming from this one random guy on the internet. Music is subjective, so not everyone's thoughts and lists might match with myself and others, so please take this into consideration. There will be anger, rage, and a tiny hint of salt, so watch at your own risk. If you do enjoy this video, however, go ahead and give it a like and share it amongst your peers. And why not go ahead and comment on why my tier list is so bad and why my choices were not to your liking. I would love to see what you'd have to say after watching this video. All things considered, I do really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen in on what I have to say in this video. Now, get comfortable and grab some headphones. Let's get right to it and enjoy the sounds of the remixes of the Super Smash Bros. Series. Enjoy! Alright everyone, ranks 250 to 226 to talk about today. Can't wait to see all the hate comments I'm going to get for this one. First off is the main battle theme from the 3DS RPG Mario & Luigi Dream Team named Try Try Again. This is the normal battle theme when Mario and Luigi fight off an enemy. The thing about this theme is that there are actually two variations for this originally, when Mario and Luigi fight in the real world, and the other is when Mario and Dreamy Luigi fight in a battle in the dream world. The real-world version of this song is performed by a live orchestra, while the Dream World version uses a synthesizer, both having the same tempo and using the same melody, just different instrumentation in the original game. This Smash remix uses both scores and mashes them up to make a unique remix not previously made. The original composer for the Mario & Luigi games, Yoko Shimomura, returns to arrange this remix too. The remix still has a bit of that upbeat charm that the original has, but the tempo is a lot slower however. I feel like no one really talks about this remix. Could be that Dream Team is the black sheep of the Mario & Luigi franchise, even though it is my favorite game in the series. Yeah, you heard me right, I like this Mario & Luigi game more than Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story. I will fight on the hill for this damned game. At least Dream Team has a remix to it, so sucks to suck. I also think that this rank might be a bit biased, however, since I have fond memories for this game, but I will admit I would rather have this remix to be more dramatic like in the original composition. This mashup is pretty neat, I love the orchestra and the synth coming together to make a unique blend, but some parts are really just a bit too soft and whimsical for my liking, especially when this piece is from an actual battle theme. It should be used for fighting, but sometimes I don't feel like that's the case for this one. I feel it should be appropriate to have this remix slotted here. I do think it could also be potentially lower given that A, not a lot of people know about this remix too well, and B, it's not the upbeating fight song that I strive to have for it in Smash remixes. But damn it, this remix is awesome in a way, and I'm happy Yoko Shimomura didn't completely butcher it to oblivion, like she had done with past remixes at least. Ah shit, maybe I shouldn't have said that about her. Sorry Miss Yoko. If I'm going to be absolutely honest with everyone, I actually was going to put this remix in the upper 100s. Yeah, you heard me right, this remix was going to beat all the others that had yet to come. Good thing I happened to come to my senses. I'm in the right here, yeah? I guess I'll still assume that some of y'all are going to be in disagreement on this one, huh? Well, let's just talk about this WarioWare remix. This theme originally came from the 2003 Game Boy Advance title, WarioWare Inc. Mega Microgames, and has 2 songs from this game. First plays the main menu theme where you navigate to a certain stage of the game, and then cuts to the title screen. This remix is another faithful adaptation from the source material, just with better instrumentation, mostly from the synthesizer in a faster tempo than found in the original game. But here's the kicker. Just like on the Obstacle Course remix for Yoshi's Island I mentioned in my last video, is that this remix is dynamic when playing on the original WarioWare stage with hazards on. When playing this remix on this stage, whenever a microgame presents itself, the music stops and plays a specific tune from said microgame, with its respective music found on the original Game Boy Advance game. Super cool. When playing on Gamer or any Smash related stage with this remix present, it will play on loop and repeat just like with any other music track in the game. I don't know why I was so into this remix before, but it's super catchy and upbeat, and a bit different from the other remixes. And plus, I gotta give it points for making it play just like a WarioWare game when played on the stage, even if this remix doesn't associate itself with the microgames from the source material. You know, if I'm going to give it a lot of positivity and praise like this, I should have put this back on my original placements. But I do have to point out the glaring issue here. It's just a bit too short when playing on other stages. It clocks in at just under a minute, so it can obviously be a bit annoying when playing for long sessions of Smash, and I have to take short remixes like this into account. I really should just accept my bias and put this remix as high as I should, but I'm going to keep it real and accept the fact that this remix isn't as great as I think, and move on to the others now. It really pains me to even say that. Coming across our only Melee remix for today's section of the tier list, we have the ground theme from Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES. This theme plays on the normal ground level themes in the game. Pretty self-explanatory. This remix focuses on a rock-tinged jazzy remix of the theme with a prominent use of brass and keyboards, and hints of electric guitar in the background, as well as a drum set providing the beat. I think the instruments clash really well together here, and it's a super groovy mix, I will say. A very lighthearted and fun remix to listen to from time to time. Super Mario Bros. 3 is my favorite 2D Mario game. Well, until Super Mario Wonder kinda made it my new favorite now. But besides that, I have super fond memories of it playing it back on my Game Boy, so the nostalgia factor is pretty big on this one. If the remix was a bit tweaked to make it a little faster, I wouldn't have a problem putting this a bit higher on the tier list. The tempo used for this remix is actually a lot slower than the original song, and there are some softer parts of the remix that don't make it as intense from a game of Smash as I would have liked. Shocker, I know. I actually was going to put this remix a bit higher on my tier list due to the nostalgia factor alone, but I decided to put it on rank 248 in the final product. I see the flaws in it of not being the perfect remix, but I can still appreciate Shogo Sakai on making another banger of a soundtrack. As always. And if the WarioWare remix wasn't bad enough to put somewhat low on my tier list, this one will definitely get me on that chopping block. This is Guile's stage, or more of his theme rather, originally appearing in Street Fighter II. This theme can be heard in the Airship Strip stage, which is Guile's home stage, and has been a staple theme ever going forward in the Street Fighter series. Actually, Street Fighter 6 did change up his theme, but let's not discuss that one, it's just not that great if I'm gonna be nice about it. Anyways, this remix is a bit of a homage to the original song back on arcade cabinets and home console versions, which use a synthesizer. The remix focuses a lot on the synthesizers too, just like the original, with an added rock-centric focus with electric guitars, drums, and bass, which makes it a faithful adaptation with the same upbeat tempo, but when looping the song, there's a synthesizer and guitar solo to spice up the remix with more rock-flavored goodness. I'd say that this is a really solid remix, and it's perfect for Smash fighting. Oh wait, you want me to say something more? Honestly, that's all I have. The remix doesn't really add anything to the already amazing and meme-worthy song from old, instead of updated instrumentation and cool as fuck solos. On the originality spectrum of things, it really doesn't stray too far from the original, and it is pretty tame and could be considered a bit boring in that comparison, so I'll have to dock it here in that regard. It is still a great remix that gets love to the hardcore fans, but personally, I don't think it goes too hard or does that much to justify itself being the best of the best remixes. Please understand through the unbiased lenses that I have to fairly judge these remixes as their own, even though I can be a bit biased sometimes. Let's move on before I add more fuel to this ever-growing fire of a statement. Now comes our first and only Castlevania remix of the day. We have Lost Painting from the PlayStation 1 father of all Metroidvanias, Symphony of the Night. The original theme shows up when Alucard traverses Anti-Chapel, Reversed Caverns, and the Forbidden Library areas of the game. It mostly plays during the Reversed Caverns, which is the second part of the game where you go through the castle, but upside down. Yeah, you gotta go through 6 hours of castle sprawling mayhem to get to this original song, folks. The original theme is actually a bit special since it is very slow, methodical, and has a trance-like atmosphere to it. The Smash remix, on the other hand, still keeps the trance-inspired tension, but with added synthesizers, choir vocals, and an epic electric guitar that has a faster tempo than the original, with added bass and electric drum set to keep the beat nice and steady. Compared to the original song, I prefer the Smash remix 10,000% more. It has a nice cool tempo and melody with the guitar, and it's not too annoying at all. A very solid Smash remix, as expected. But, uh-oh, you guys are waiting for this, and here it comes. It's really not that good of a Smash song to fight into battle. This is honestly what you get when you try and remix a song that wasn't meant for battling in the first place. And yeah, I get it, it can be nice to listen to in Smash once in a while, but this remix was really meant to be listened to while focusing on something important like working or schoolwork or running errands. Also, maybe when you're high as balls too. Yes, I've done it before. Don't do drugs, kids. It's still a solid mix, but I really can't put it at all higher than I should due to its soft and nonchalant nature. But me and everyone else appreciates the attempt to make a really slow original song to a more upbeat rocking version of it. Now, we finally reached our first English and Japanese duo remix, which you can choose whether to play these specific remixes in English or Japanese. It is all based on personal preference. Unfortunately for all you sub-enjoyers out there, I'll be playing the English version in the background, so if you prefer the Japanese audio, then you can cry about it, you fucking weebs. As the title says, this is the main theme for the fairly recent Fire Emblem game, Three Houses, which can be played on the Nintendo Switch. This theme plays throughout the game and is primarily heard in the opening cutscene, which in turn is actually called The Edge of Dawn. The Fire Emblem theme can also be heard here as well, which is also present in Three Houses. Instrumentation for this remix is more of a rock-styled orchestra, instead of the unusual for a Fire Emblem game, electronic and dubstep style of direction that Three Houses took. The English lyrics are sung by the singer Buttercup, while the Japanese lyrics are sung by Cairo. Both singers re-portray their roles as singers from the original game to this Smash remix. A lot to take in for this one, since this is the only remix from the recent Three Houses, so it has a lot of shoes to fill. It is generally a good remix to listen to on and off of Smash, to be fair. I gotta say, as a Fire Emblem fan, however, I do not like Three Houses. I have to put my bias on here and I have to bash on it. I mean, Three Houses isn't a very bad game, but I'm not going to go too in-depth with why I don't like the game as much as the others in the series. It's just not my go-to Fire Emblem game. Alright, sorry, I'm done talking about the game now, but the music in this remix is just okay too. I've heard it a lot and I'm just not the biggest fan. Nothing wrong with the instruments or the singers that play their respective roles, I just don't like it personally. I really should have put this remix a bit higher, but my personal bias can't bring me to put it up there. The Three Houses community is going to have a field day with me on this one. Okay, scratch all of the other mentioned remixes I put at the beginning of this video. This might be the most controversial placement in this section of the tier list. This is I'll Face Myself from the 2008 game Persona 4. Well, kinda. This song can be heard when the player fights the main boss of the beginning dungeons of the game, and when you beat said boss from where the characters in the main story face and accept their inner self. So this is my problem with this remix, and I'm gonna come clean with it. Persona 4 is a fantastic RPG and actually my favorite game in the series. If you understand the context of this original song, it is a very somber and meaningful tune that takes to the heart more times than one. The original uses a piano and brass horn duet, but this remix here is a more of a heavy rock and jazzy approach to it, which focuses on electric guitar while also incorporating brass horns and a piano medley with a higher tempo. I find it a bit weird that they wanted to use the acceptance music after you defeat the boss from the game, instead of the actual boss battle theme. They use the same melody structure but are very different from one another. Having a very energetic remix to one of the few melancholy songs in the games feels super out of place to me. From my own personal bias aside, yeah, this remix is pretty good for a fighting game perspective, but I honestly don't want to put it any higher than rank 243. It does sound like Persona 4 and a solid remix all around. I just really wish that they arranged the boss battle theme from Persona 4 instead. It's way more dramatic and befitting for a good fight instead of the closing dialogue from the end of the fight, but that is just my personal take on the matter. And this is also Yusuke Yamauchi's only remix that he made for the Smash series as a whole, so sorry for being a hardcore dick about this one. got another Ultimate Pokemon remix on the tier list now. This is the Battle Island Kahuna theme heard in the Generation 7 titles of Pokemon games, Sun and Moon. This is the theme that plays when the player fights against the Island Kahunas in the game, just like what the title says. While the original plays with an orchestrated setting as well, it is really compressed to say the least since, it was featured on a 3DS. This remix takes the already orchestrated approach that wasn't reduced from MIDI quality. Not saying that the original is bad by all means, from what I understand most Pokemon players really like the Generation 7 titles, and they are pretty good when taking a first listen. I never played the Generation 7 Pokemon games, by the way. Also joining the remix orchestra is an electric guitar, which is not found in the original song, and plays the melody with the orchestra back and forth throughout. This remix is pretty great. It's really slept on, and I feel like it is untalked and underplayed a lot these days. I also feel that the tempo is a bit slower than the original song as well, which is definitely not the case on why this remix isn't popular, but I guess it isn't just a very memorable song. Well, the reason why I have it a bit low is, yeah, it is a bit slow, especially at the ending section. I don't feel like it should dip down so much and try to bring it back up again when looping. Not really the greatest thing that they did for this music piece. Also, the original had a lot of super cool percussion instruments, and as a percussion player back in high school, this is a huge disservice to my kind of people. Okay, yeah, dropping this remix here is all the more justified now. Well, looky here. We finally have come across the first Minecraft remix. And of course, the first one I have to talk about is the Yoko Shimomura remix, unfortunately. Man, constantly putting her remixes down on the list makes me look like a total Yoko hater now. Well, back on topic. This remix is called Dance of the Blocks, and can be first heard in Minecraft Legacy Console Edition. This is played on the Shrunk map through an in-game battle minigame, which you can play with other players. Excuse me if I happen to get the information wrong for some of these Minecraft remixes. I am not a big fan of the series. At least, all of the music featured in Smash are straight fire, so I do my best with what I can learn from it. The original and remix piece are pretty identical in tempo, but the original has more of an orchestrated approach while the Smash remix is a bit more simplistic. While that may seem like it could be a bad thing to say, I do believe the simplicity does a great job when conveying the classic Shimomura feel. This remix is a bit on the light side and sounds more whimsical and airy to its original counterpart, if that makes any fucking sense at all. It mostly uses a vast amount of percussion, which is always cool to see, with piano, acoustic guitar, and string instruments playing the melody of the song. Given that I put this as the lowest Minecraft remix on my tier list, you would think that it isn't that good, but it's actually far from the truth. I really enjoy listening to this piece from time to time, but I do think that it isn't the best song to play in a fighting game type of context, however. So that is one of the main reasons why I'm putting it down here. On a side note too, and I gotta say that the original Dance of the Blocks has a better fighting feel to it since the instruments are more articulate with its sound. The Smash remix kinda all blends it together to get the soft sound you hear now. It's beautiful, but not very impactful and heavy. I wouldn't have minded playing the original song in Smash, but the remix is still great enough on its own. Wow, another Mario remix so soon. What a shocker. Well, not really. We are nearing the middle and top sections of the tier list soon, so expect a lot of popular franchises to come into play sooner than you think. This is the Luigi's Mansion series medley, and it features the two Luigi's Mansion titles at the time, the first on the GameCube and the second game being Dark Moon on the 3DS. First up for the remix, we have the main theme from the first game, which honestly is the series' staple theme of all the games, if we are stretching it that far into the iceberg. This theme plays mostly throughout the whole song of the remix, but the second part of the song will play Catching Ghosts and the Mission Complete themes from Dark Moon. Instead of the melancholy and creepy ambience music that usually plays in the original games, this remix is lighthearted and upbeat. That is mostly a techno synthesizer based track with slight piano and organ riffs thrown in there to get that old mansion personality that the series is known for. If you aren't already aware, this is the last Luigi's Mansion remix on the tier list. I know that people love this series, but the music for these types of games isn't anywhere close to action-oriented music. Well, at least the last two remixes for Luigi's Mansion and Smash were up to par at best, while this remix I think is the better one out of the two. It's lively, fast-paced, and it holds a candle to a game of Smash from time to time, which I can appreciate. Definitely not a bad remix by any means. Maybe in the next Smash game we can actually get some good Luigi's Mansion remixes, since the third game is out and actually has some memorable music and scenes when I last played it in my personal playthrough. One can only hope. Made it to another Mario Kart remix. This time is the Rainbow Road Medley. This medley remix covers 3 different Rainbow Road themes from across all of the handheld Mario Kart titles, which is actually pretty ingenious since this remix first appeared in Smash 4 on the 3DS, the handheld title of the two. The first minute of the song is the Mario Kart 7's version, which makes the most sense since it was the newest title to the series at the time, and the game to feature Rainbow Road from Mario Kart 7 as a stage in Smash. And at the last minute are the Mario Kart DS and Mario Kart Super Circuit versions for the medley, which then loop back over to Mario Kart 7's Rainbow Road. The remix's instrumentation here is mostly synthesized, and just like with most Mario Kart Rainbow Road themes are based on, but also includes an electric guitar for 7's theme, and string instruments incorporated to Super Circuit's theme. This is a pretty great remix all things considered. The tempo is a bit faster than all of the originals listed here, and it even has my favorite Rainbow Road theme in Mario Kart. It's the DS version, by the way. You thought I was going to say 7's Rainbow Road, did you? Seriously, when is that version of Rainbow Road going to get a remake? Anyways, solid stuff, but man, this remix doesn't really fit as a good Smash fighting song. If it was just a bit heavier, then I think I could put it up with the best of the best, but the Rainbow Road themes in general, besides Mario Kart 8's Rainbow Road, don't really have that heavy impact to begin with, so it's only fair that it retains a very majestic feel to it. Now, if only the Smash team had the decency to actually put the Rainbow Road stage from 3DS to Ultimate. Like, come on guys, that would have been sick as hell to see that stage updated in HD. Super missed opportunity. Sheesh, another back-to-back-to-back Mario remixes to talk about. Told you guys to expect them soon. We now have the title and ending music for Super Mario World on the Super NES. As the name implies, this is both the title and ending theme from the game, mashed up in an arranged medley, first starting with the title and then the ending theme. The music for this remix mostly consists of a unique synthesizer, with a bass guitar and electronic drum set combo, providing the background beats as expected from the dynamic instrument duo. What's also cool is that we could also hear an accordion and a xylophone playing the melody of the song along with that wacky synthesizer. This remix is also slightly faster than the original versions of the songs. I generally enjoy this one from time to time. It's whimsical with a lot of charm, but I also can't help that it sounds a tiny bit weird too. Even though I'm a Super Mario fan, I actually never played Super Mario World at all. Never even touched the game for a minute. Yeah, I should be castrated from even saying that, I know. But I never found a reason to play it since I love Super Mario Bros. 3 so much. But with this remix, I can picture myself being whisked away from the uniqueness of the game. This remix is great, but I find it hard to be enthralled with it when I'm playing a serious competitive game of Smash, but I can find myself having a fun and silly time if you're in a free-for-all. I know I should have also been talking about free-for-alls sometimes and not just one-on-ones, but I and most other Smashers are a competitor by heart and would like to have more intense music being played than fucking the roost from Animal Crossing when playing Town and City. But at least this remix is not that, and should be expressed as a generally fun remix, so giving it the benefit of the doubt and putting this remix here over others, feel like that is the right choice for my tier list. Returning to another jungle level theme, we have the jazz-style version from Smash 4. Much like the other versions before it, this is taken from Donkey Kong Country from the Super NES on the jungle hijinks level of the game. For this remix, the instrumentation is interpreted with, if you can believe it, jazz. Wow. It mostly focuses on brass and percussion instruments with a really swinging piano added to the mix for a cool solo in the middle of the track. What's also neat is that a tribal drum is being played during the entirety of the remix, to still have a jungle feel for it, but it's a bit soft, so I wouldn't expect people to hear that over the other instruments here. This remix is a good time and actually has class and style, unlike the other jungle levels before it. Finally, a jungle level theme that I can get behind. It's upbeat and fun to listen to and it has that distinct Donkey Kong feel at the same time. The instruments are a bit loud, however. If you can overcome the quality that this remix gives out, then I think you can have a good time with it. Although it is a one-way street, I can expect people to enjoy the rambunctiousness and loud time that this remix gives out, and I can understand why people wouldn't like it too. I can meet it in the middle and say that this is a great remix, but it might not have a great impression for first-time listeners, or listeners who are just not interested in this remix altogether. I think it's alright to listen to while playing Smash with. Although, unlike in the other remixes of the jungle level theme, this remix doesn't make me feel like you're in a jungle like the other suggests. In all honesty, this remix can go perfectly with a stage like New Donk City, since I actually feel like it can be good for Night City life in a way. Too bad it isn't a Donkey Kong stage. You can't win them all. Also, forgot to mention that the arranger, Hiroyuki Kawada, also arranged the tribal style remix as well. I guess I can be thankful that one of his 2 jungle level remixes were decent enough. Now it is time to cover the Temple remix from Melee. Wait, this isn't Temple? Oh, right, this is the less appealing younger brother from Brawl. Right, him. This is the Great Temple and also Temple theme from the NES game Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. This is a remix of two themes mixed together. First is the Great Temple theme, which is the music for the final dungeon in the game, and then switches over to the Temple theme on the second half, which is a song you hear on various other dungeons in the game, before looping back to the Great Temple section again. Older fans of Smash may have recognized the theme from the Temple stage back in Melee, when this remix first made its appearance in Brawl. Well, it should be fairly similar to Melee's remix since the arranger Shogo Sakai made the Melee remix as well, since how the original Temple section at the end of this remix is similar to the Melee remix. The only new part is the Great Temple section, but I always had it confused since both the Great Temple and Temple almost are the same way, just with different melodies. This Brawl remix actually replaced Melee's remix when Brawl first came out, so I guess a new remix was warranted, but I much preferred Melee's. As you see why I placed this Brawl remix first, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. This Brawl remix is pretty similar from Melee's, but with a few different quirks, like adding an acoustic guitar and a faster tempo, which helps it stand out and can be a better alternative to much more impactful fight song in Smash. But I much rather listen to Melee's remix in a Smash aspect and a music aspect as a whole. I'm not too sure if people will agree with me on this, but I never once heard someone liking this Brawl remix much more than the Melee one. Like, come on, who doesn't hate the original Temple theme? It's so fucking clean, and the Brawl remix isn't as memorable, I think. This remix really shouldn't have been made, but I can still appreciate the effort that was put into it, and it isn't a terrible remix to say the least. Time to finally talk about our last bath time theme for the Smash series. Well, considering there are actually only two to begin with, it's expected that I'll talk about this one eventually. Just like with the previous bath time theme, this is played with all Nintendo DS versions of Nintendogs, where you give your virtual pet a bath. This Ultimate Remix has the same structure of the Smash 4 remix, but unlike with the previous iteration, the Ultimate Remix has a more heavier approach to it with an electric guitar and a synthesizer playing as the main melody. This also features an organ along with the mix, and it actually goes pretty well in tune with the rest of the instruments. You might already know how I felt about the previous remix from Smash 4. It was nice and upbeat, but it is a pretty wacky song to play in the background if you want to have a super serious match. And generally, the less wackier the song is, the better. This Ultimate Remix, however, does a better job at providing heavier music thanks to the guitar and synth. I also like the somewhat jazzier approach to the remix too. Thank God it wasn't at all like the Duck Hunt medley that Maki Kirioka made as well. This remix makes sense in the grand scheme of things. It's great for what it portrays and a good callback to the original Nintendogs game, and even when you're playing on the living room stage too, but as I said before, it's a bit more on the wacky side, and I still don't think it's the best when it comes to playing in a serious one-on-one fight in Smash. It's good for what it does, but I'd rather be listening to other remixes instead. At least Kirioka does actually make some great music regarding her other previous remixes at least. Now, with all this talk about bathing, I really hope all of my watchers will consider to take a shower today, considering how half of the Smash community never takes one before going to a tournament. Man, why the hell am I even still in this scene is beyond my comprehension. Surf's up, dude. Time to talk about Gobi's Valley. This song plays in the Nintendo 64 game Banjo-Kazooie in the level Gobi's Valley. As opposed to what the remix is playing right now, this level is actually a desert-themed level, so the original song made it sound like a desert. This Smash remix, however, turns into one of the songs that were from the early 2000s surf rock or something from the Beach Boys, which doesn't even remotely remind me of a desert, but it is a really neat idea and concept. This remix also has a faster tempo than the original with some clean electric guitars and an organ playing most of the melody with a backing drum set. While this remix mostly plays the theme of Gobi's Valley, fans of the game series will also hear an excerpt of Gruntilda's theme at the end of the song, so a really cool nod back from the classic game. Don't ask me why Gruntilda's theme wasn't a whole remix in Smash. Disappointing, I know, but it is referenced here, so we can't be all that salty over it. And yeah, this is an interesting take on Gobi's Valley, but I would never really expected it to make a beach vibe song over a desert level, so I'll give it mad props to Masabushi for the incredible idea. I just kinda wish it was a bit better, however. I wouldn't really expect to play this song in a serious Smash setting. Also, the remix itself isn't that grand. It's a bit melodramatic, and sometimes I can't really hear certain parts of the music if I would be hearing all of those sound effects in Smash. And if you're aware, this is also the second Banjo-Kazooie remix I talked about. I do believe the other Banjo remixes are a bit better than this one. Still a good remix to play from time to time, however. Putting it on this tier list seems like the perfect spot to me. One more Zelda remix to cover in today's video. We have the Song of Storms. This iconic theme appears on the Nintendo 64 game Ocarina of Time, when inside of the Windmill Hut building, and also when Link plays the Song of Storms on the Ocarina to progress through the game. Not only that the Song of Storms is in this remix, but two other songs from Ocarina of Time plays here as well. Nearing the end of the remix, we have an interlude whenever Ganondorf appears in any of the game's cutscenes, and then the Serenade of Water, another song that Link can also play on his ocarina. There are a wide variety of instruments being played throughout this remix, mostly through the use of the ocarina, accordion, and a synth with electronic elements added. There's also a pretty sick guitar bridge going along with the melody, which I'm all for. The interlude cutscene music takes a percussion approach like the Foreboding theme plays in the original game, and the Serenade of Water theme plays similarly like in the original game as well, with only a harp and ocarina playing as a duet, just like how Sheik and Link played in the original game. Nice callback. The only outstanding piece that I really like in this remix is, obviously, the Song of Storms section. I don't know why, but I was drawn into this theme like a moth to a light source. I was in awe the entire time when listening that I've always picked this remix to play on the pirate ship stage back in Brawl when I was a wee lad. I still have that same feeling, but now as an older person, it kinda waned on me a bit. Still, a super cool remix, and not to mention that it's a bit faster than the original with better instruments, but it can get a bit old. The other two songs featured here are also a bit soft and dull, especially the Serenade of Water, which this remix could have gone completely without, but I guess it's a bit of a nice touch on the context side of things, since this is basically about storms in the remix. I still wish I had my childlike nostalgia that I have with other previous remixes in Smash, but this one can't really slice it with the big dogs on the tier list. This remix should honestly go a bit lower than this spot, but I can make a few exceptions here or there, right? Finally, landed on the first of 2 Bayonetta remixes. This is from the first Bayonetta game called Mysterious Destiny. This originally plays whenever Bayonetta triggers a fight with enemy angels whenever there isn't a main story sequence happening during the adventure. As the title suggests, this song is an instrumental version from the original game that had English vocals. Replacing these English vocals is a tenor saxophone and a small guitar solo that plays whenever vocals occur. Unfortunately, this song had vocals playing throughout the entirety of the song, so you'll be hearing the sax playing constantly in this remix version. Might not be the worst thing in the world, so I'll let the viewers be the judge of that. In the background of the remix are the synth and electric drum set with some subdued vocals that originally played in the original song, which is pretty funny that all of the original instruments, except for the added instruments that were used for the replacement of vocals, were ripped out from the original song and used for this new remix. Now you think that might be a terrible thing for originality, and you're definitely right, but the changes for an instrumental version make up for that lack of originality in my book. Then again, it is a one-to-one recreation of the original theme. Even the tempo is completely the same, which begs the question as to why the vocalized version of this song did not get put into Smash to begin with. My guess is that they wanted it to be stylized for the younger audience, since Bayonetta is a very mature game with suggested themes, but I feel like the vocals are fine and they never mentioned a single provocative or curse word in the original. But then I thought that since the game is M-rated downright, that it must be downplayed to begin with. But then I remembered that Calling Into the Night from Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops and the lyrical songs from the Persona series all have lyrics and they are from M-rated games too. So another guess is that Junichi Nakatsuru just wanted to make an instrumental version of the theme. Or maybe he was forced to. Your guess is as good as mine. Regarding all of those baseless theories, I still do think that the music is pretty top-notch here, even though it doesn't differentiate itself from the source material. It's catchy and a good song to rock out to while listening to it alone or playing it in Smash. The Bayonetta series always had pretty amazing hits, so it's no surprise that it is a bit high on the tier list, but the originality aspect of the song does drop it down immensely, so this feels like a good spot to put it in. Spent a lot of time on the theories, so on to the next remix now. We actually have one more Bayonetta remix to talk about now, and you'll never guess where I have it at. Yeah, I'm going to cover both Bayonetta remixes together because why not? So as you can expect, Tomorrow Is Mine is the main battle theme in Bayonetta 2, when Bayonetta confronts enemies if there isn't a main story sequence happening in the adventure. And just like the previous Bayonetta remix, this remix is said instrumental version of the original lyrical track. Replacing the lyrics is a soprano saxophone this time around, and plays throughout the whole remix. Again, up to the listener if that is a pro or a con. The background music features a piano that goes with the sax, with the melody at times, but was in the original lyrical track too. A synth, electronic drums, and some wind instruments are also present here, and they were all featured in the original track as well. I'm not going to be repeating my theories and how I feel about this remix to the original. However, I will say that I enjoy Tomorrow Is Mine more than Mysterious Destiny. Other people might feel the same way, or perhaps the other way around between these two remixes. I will say I do enjoy the lyrical version of Tomorrow Is Mine, but if I might say that this instrumental remix is just as, and maybe even more enjoyable. The replacement sax is loud and proud and very stanky. I love every second of it, and I feel it is much better than the Mysterious Destiny remix, so that is the main reason why I have it over the other. Since it still uses music found in the original game, I'll put it side by side with each other because they don't differentiate from the source material, but they still hold their own as remixes, and I feel like that's all there is to be said. No more Bayonetta music to talk about, unfortunately. A good series that needs more music representation. Well, at least it has some music to talk about at least. Looking at you, Dragon Quest and Kingdom Hearts. So let me get this out of the way first. Yeah, haha, I actually put both ground theme remixes of Mario 3 near each other, just like with Green Greens I did a couple of videos ago. What a huge coincidence. No, it really isn't, but yeah, we have another remix of Super Mario Bros. 3 ground theme to talk about. I think I'm going to save my breath and just say that this music is played on the very early levels of the game, but at the end of the remix, the world map theme for World 1 and the start of the level jingle can be heard before looping back to the start of the remix. Actually, a super unique detail that I thought I never needed until now. Now time to talk about the music. While this doesn't feature the jazzy rock style that the Melee remix had, this Ultimate remix has a blend of both original chiptune inspired sounds from the original that was produced by a synth, with a mix of acoustic instruments, such as an organ, piano, the bass guitar, and various percussion instruments, like the tambourine, cymbals, shakers, and, of course, the drum set. This remix is a lot more upbeat and livelier than its Melee older brother, so I'll give it more points on that spectrum. But in turn, is that I appreciate the original instruments more than this Ultimate younger brother version. It uses sounds from the original game and mashed it up into this remix, so I'm gonna cost it some points on that front too. A double whammy, if you will. In all honesty, this remix is actually pretty great, and I shouldn't really be too harsh and negative about remixes using old game sounds to convey their approach to original scores, such as this remix. It does bring out a lot of personality and is a good homage to a very classic game that everyone loves. More or less, but I still would much rather have a good serious remix to look forward to when fighting, rather than happy-go-lucky ones, which this remix definitely is the epitome of happy-go-lucky. I feel like this is a good spot to put this one at for the tier list. I also don't think it's a very popular remix to begin with, which is unfortunate. Sometimes that's just how it is meant to be. Hey, we have a familiar face here, Hirokazu Tanaka, making another appearance after making some Trashfire remixes. Good to see you, buddy. This remix is actually a pretty decent one, I gotta say. We have the Squeak Squad theme from the DS title Kirby Squeak Squad. This theme plays when Kirby encounters a member of the Squeak Squad during the adventure. Since this remix originated from Brawl, this remix was made around the same time that Kirby Squeak Squad made a physical release, so this remix plays pretty much the same as the original, more or less. Even if the tempo is about the same, the remix doesn't have that compression feeling that the DS had, and it is a more rock-based approach with heavier instrumentation. Like I said, I generally think that this is a great remix, and a good fight song to listen to in the context of Smash, but you're probably going to see this one coming. Just not a huge fan of the mouse squeaks that pop up occasionally. It really does lose the immersion that I have in the grand scheme of things. Even though those mouse squeaks are in the original DS song, so it's great that it follows the source material, I just still find it a bit annoying. Maybe in another time I could put this remix up a bit higher, to be honest. The music is great here, and I should be a bit more objective, but I think this is the perfect spot to put this at for the tier list anyways. After doing some research on the project, I was generally surprised when Tanaka actually arranged this remix, since he is known for doing old game music through the synthesizers, from what you heard in my older videos. So making a hard rock aspect with the general use of synthesizers as well for a fairly recent game is a really great change, and I respect him as a composer for it. The next remix he makes will be his last, however, and it actually might be a bit controversial since I put it so high up. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, we are still not done talking about Animal Crossing remixes just yet. The last two remixes for this franchise I think are the best ones of the bunch after this one. But really, 2AM from Wild World is actually not that bad to listen to from now and again. I'm gonna give this a passing grade here. Oh, I should probably talk about the remix first before I give it a ranking, huh? Even though I already gave it a ranking in the intro. Well, this is Animal Crossing Wild World's version of 2AM that is found on the Nintendo DS, and just as you can expect that this originally plays whenever you stay up at 2AM to 3AM. And I'm thinking to myself, people really stay up late just to play Animal Crossing? And I answer to my own question, apparently yes. Why else would there be music to this late at night? Guess they thought of everything when making these types of games, huh? This remix is a super sped up track from the original and a lot heavier instrumentation to go along with it. My kinda upgrade. It's a blues-inspired style of remix with lead vocals from KK Slider himself. Instrumentations include a guitar, a drum set, synthesizer, and small whistling solos found in the remix too. KK Slider does whistling in his songs from time to time if people don't already know. Another fun fact is that this remix did not debut in Smash Brawl, but it debuted in the Animal Crossing Sound CD. So this remix is the first and only remix to be featured in another source of media that we put into a Smash game. The name for the song on the CD was KK's Choice instead of 2AM, but it makes much more sense to name this 2AM in Smash instead, since KK Slider never actually sings or plays this particular song in any of the Animal Crossing games. And if I'm wrong, you Animal Crossing fans can take a swing at me free of charge next time we meet due to bad researching. In getting back to the remix, it's not that bad. Actually, it's pretty great, and I was surprised how lively and cool this remix is while making this tier list. I gave it a couple listens, and I almost had it pretty much at the bottom of this tier list. And I'm very glad I came around and gave it a deserving rank, however. But it still has some things that I can generally dislike. The one big thing is KK Slider singing and whistling in this remix. I don't mind it too much here now, but it could be an annoyance or bother to a lot of other people who aren't familiar with the series, and could also cause distractions while playing in the game. I would like to see this remix without the singing from KK Slider, and maybe add in a wind or brass instrument to play the melody instead. It isn't for everybody, and I have to put this remix here on this spot of the tier list. I still tolerate it enough to warrant some listens into my playlist of music here and there. However, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of other people would rank this remix much higher on their own personal lists. More respect to ya. Now, we only have 4 more Animal Crossing remixes to go over, and funny enough, you won't see them at all anytime soon. I granted you that much power, Animal Crossing fans. Yep, that title is no joke. We finally reached the longest remix title in Smash history. I've been training my whole life to say this one. Harmer Faith Capoeira School, Song of the Fight, Believers Will Be Saved, from Fatal Fury 1. Hoping I nailed the verbiage there. This song first appeared in the very first Fatal Fury title in arcades and the Neo Geo home console in 1991, and was actually the very first stage music the player listens to in the game. This is between either player-controlled Terry, Andy, or Joe fighting Richard Mayer in the Pow Pow Cafe stage, which has been a staple stage in the SNK series history for quite some time now. The instrumentation for this remix somewhat resembles what was heard from the original song, with the berimbau as the melody-leading instrument, but uses a lot of added percussion ones for the remix, such as the bongos, steel and bass drums, maracas, and tambourine. Also, there are solos with the cavaquinho. God, I hope I pronounced that correctly. It's just a type of Brazilian acoustic guitar whenever the vocals stop singing. Oh yeah, we can't forget about the vocals, huh? These vocals apparently are Portuguese, and they also appeared in the original song chanting out the same lyrics. While these vocals were in the very original song, unlike the previous 2AM remix I talked about, I feel that these vocals are still a bit distracting to play in a very serious one-on-one competition in Smash. Also, I know that they are in a different language, but I can't make out what they are even saying. All I can hear is capoeira from the chorus, which is Richard Mayer's fighting style in the game. I am not a very cultured man, as you can probably tell, but whenever this remix ever pops up, I just can't help but laugh a little bit. It's a bit outlandish for Smash standards. I bet a lot of people who found out this remix is in Smash just from this video alone would probably say, "Really? This is in Smash? I can't believe this." Oh yeah, you better believe, young man. But it is really awesome how these different fighting game series represent a bit of world cultures from specific parts of the world. Well, if they are based on around Earth, that is. In this case, for this remix, is a bit of Brazilian and Portuguese, and I think that's awesome that someone from over in Japan would make a bizarre remix that uses the cultures of other places. I really dig this remix a lot, but I think the distracting vocals really tone it down on the points for me. Normally, I would like a choir or lyrics in my video game music, but I feel that this one just takes it a bit too far, and for that reason, I will put it here for this tier list. Ending off today's video is actually our first Metal Gear remix I've covered so far. Almost made it past a halfway mark, but not quite there yet. This song is the theme of love from Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots, released on the PlayStation 3 back in 2008. This theme plays throughout the original game through cutscenes, such as the opening, ending, and the infamous microwave scene. I won't go over that last one in detail, so you'll just have to look it up yourselves. What I will go over is the original theme. It's a very dramatic and somber piece that was mostly led with a viola and a female vocalist who sang the song in Hebrew, and the person who arranged the Smash remix, Akira Honda, also did most of the composition for the original game too. The Smash remix made it more action-packed and bombastic that still retained the viola lead, but now with an added ensemble of strings and percussion instruments. Another fun fact for this remix is that since Brawl released before Metal Gear Solid 4, this has the honor of being the only remix that premiered in a Smash game first than its original game, but also that this remix did actually appear in the original Metal Gear Solid 4 as well, but dubbed it Love Theme Action Version. So in a way, this remix really was a promotion for the new game. It just kinda sucks that the game was only playable on a console that most people didn't have at the time. I know I really wanted to play it, but I never had a PlayStation 3 in my life. Super big bummer. This remix does have a lot going for it, I will say. It keeps the same somber tone but upgraded to be more cinematic and faster, with added instrumentation making it more pleasant to listen to in a gunfight. Well, in this case in a Smash fight. While I do like the style that the theme of love went through to keep it as it is, I also find it as a hindrance too, since that same tone of style could go either way. It's action-packed, sure, but it leaves me pretty empty with feelings of sadness and regret. I'm sure no one wants to cry when playing a fighting game, but this theme makes it really close to making that a reality. That somberness of tone, even when the remix tried to make it all action-packed, makes it a very memorable remix, but not a very fitting one to fight to. Putting this remix here at 226 feels right to me. I'm sure others will disagree here, but that's just how it is going to be this time. And I'll leave you all with that remark. Thanks for watching the video. Yo, 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 hope everyone had a good time watching or listening to this video today. We are nearing the halfway point, as you couldn't already tell, and pretty much all the way through until the end it's just going to be great remix after great remix. So I can't wait for y'all to hear these awesome remixes now, cause believe me, it was really painful to be editing my early videos and I basically heard nothing but complete shit the entire time, so I could finally settle down and jam out to some awesome music finally while editing these videos. And speaking about the editing, I really do hope I did a good job for you all with it, presentation-wise. The information at the beginning should be nice and concise and shouldn't take too long or too short of a time to read all of the information, and also giving you guys a few seconds of raw sound quality at the beginning and end to hear what the actual remix sounds like. And also putting up the informational videos in the middle of each segment as to when and where they play during specific gameplay sequences and cutscenes during their respective games. I think it really does wonders on where those songs originally came from, and so you all should give yourself a listen to those original songs yourselves to see how they stack up to their Smash Remix counterpart. I honestly think I'm the only person who even cares about where the original songs come from their respective games. So I hope someone at least can appreciate my vision of the music in video games. Well, I think that should be all. I'll talk about my editing process very soon in the next couple of outros. But for now, I will catch you all in the next video. See you all later.